into the Carnivor Corner, where we act a bit more like established gentlemen. But an established gentleman who's proud to drink his wine with a juicy burger or a bone-in ribeye fresh off the barbecue.
I present to you some Carnivor wine right in front of you. And right there. There you go, sir. Wow. And I know that you are you're driving home, so you'll bring it home, and hopefully you and your lovely wife.
But not tonight.
Jessica will have we'll share it over.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Nice. Cool.
Man, you look good, Ben. I got to tell you, you really do look good. I got to ask, you've opened up to us about pulp culture. We've talked about sports and everything.
I got to interrupt for a second.
Sure.
You keep calling it pulp culture.
Pop. Do I say pulp?
You've been saying pulp all day. At first, I thought I misheard you.
Yeah.
Then you said the second time, I was like, I'm going to let it slide. Then the third time, I was like, I got to get to the bottom of this.
I love orange juice.
There you go. There we go.
I make two mistakes always. I say, instead of saying hot dog, I always say hat dag, always. And I think I always say pulp culture as opposed to pop culture.
You know where that hat dag comes from? That's interesting. Hat dag.
I always say hat dog.
Hat dog. Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know why. I think
you can get guests in here all the time. You could get a psychiatrist in here and get free therapy and figure it out. Get to the bottom of it without having to pay for it.
Maybe the slurred speech is actually beginning to concern me. I haven't been sleeping a lot. But,
I'm sorry, I took you off track.
No worries. What is your morning routine? What's morning routine for Ben Mulroney?
My morning routine, I don't often have a routine because my schedule changes every day. But if it's one of my early days where I have to be at the office for 8, I'll get up at 5:30. I'll be at the gym for 6. I'll be there till 7. I'll come home. I will see the kids before they go to school. I will be in the car at 7:30. I'll be at the office and on air at 8.
Wow, that's unbelievable, man.
That's probably 2-3 days a week, and then the other days are, if I have to start later, then all that just moves a little later.
But you're really committed to going to the gym.
I got to keep up with the kids. Last year I made a New Year's resolution to find more time in the day. It turns out the only time I could find in the day was before anybody woke up. So I started getting up earlier, and it turns out it didn't kill me because I actually enjoy going to bed a little bit earlier these days. And you don't have to stay up until 2 to watch Seinfeld, over and over.
What's the point?
What's the point?
You've got enough ShamWows in your day.
Exactly. So we started going to bed a little bit earlier, and it helped us be more productive, both me and my wife. So that's how that started. Ben,
you say something really interesting there. Not only just calling me on the fact that I say pulp culture, but that you want to keep up with the kids. Is that actually a real fear? Do you feel vulnerable sometimes in terms of really having the aesthetics of Ben on TV, keeping looking good? For New Year's this year, I gave myself a diet plan, which was to go paleo for 4 months, and I was going to try gluten-free for 4 months, and then I was going to try the whole food diet for 4 months. And within a month of going paleo, I dropped 25 pounds. So, and then I started going to the gym, and that started helping out as well. So I did it for health reasons. I didn't know I had 25 pounds to lose. Turns out I did. And I find that I just have a lot more energy. I'm a lot more curious during the day. I think my brain is firing faster. And so I think I enjoy the time I spend with my kids more. I think I enjoy everything I do a lot more now, and so it's going to suck when I get fat again, which will happen. Well, don't say that. I mean, you do. You look great, man. I must say. Do you find time just to chill out, read some books? Are you reading any current books now?
I go through peaks and valleys. You know what I'm reading? I'm reading what's it called? I think it's called The Day After Tomorrow. I'm not sure. It's Chantal Hébert's book about where she interviewed all of the major players in the 1995 Quebec referendum and asked every one of them, what would have happened if the vote had gone the other way? And what you realize through these interviews is nobody had a clue. Like nobody was rowing in the same direction. Every single person was rowing in a different direction. It would have been insanity. And but it's a very, very candid look at a really important part of our year of our history. I go through peaks and valleys where sometimes all I can do is read, and then there are times where I just don't have time. I'm in that time where I have a little bit of time, so I'm reading one book right now.
It might have been 2, except we kept him here an extra half an hour. Who are your mentors, Ben Mulroney? Do you have some mentors you'd like to share?
Yes. Well, one of the first person who got me into television, there's a group of them, and it was Suzanne Boyce and Jordan Schwartz. Suzanne worked at CTV and Bell Media, and she left a few years ago. She was the first person to put me on television. I learned a lot from her. And Jordan Schwartz, who was he was in charge of our show at eTalk, and now he's over at Rogers. He's a fantastic television executive. I've learned so much from him, and then I learned a lot from my dad and a lot from my friends. I mean, I don't have one single mentor mentor in life, but there are a lot of people I admire. And so I learned little things from a lot of people.
Are you close with your father, former Prime Minister Brian, of course?
I see him all the time. I talked to him 3 times yesterday. Wow. Yeah, and now that he's got 11 grandkids under the age of 10. He sees them all. He comes to Toronto, and he sits down, and we just do a conveyor belt in front of him. And he loves being a granddad, and he loves coming to visit. And the older I get, the more I appreciate the stuff he's got to tell me.
You're very active on Instagram, and what I notice is you put pictures of your kids up there. Was that ever a hesitation for you and your wife? Did you ever think twice about that?
Not for me. I'm in the public eye. It works for me. I understand why people don't want to do it, and there's more power to them. But for me, I'm proud of my family. I like sharing pictures of my family. I'm not sharing anything that is secret. People know I've got kids, and it's a nice way for me to, be a proud papa.
How great is it being married now? You've been married for six years?
Yeah, it'll be 7 in October.
7 in October.
Yeah.
Speak to some guys maybe who are listening to the Todd Shapiro Show going, I don't know if I ever want to pull the trigger on a different type of life.
Well, then all I would say is follow Todd on Instagram and read the stuff he says about his wife. This is what happens. You spend your whole life. Some people say, oh, I got to get some stuff out of my system. If you got to get some stuff out of your system, sow your oats. Go sow your oats. But at some point, you're going to realize, you're going in circles. There's only. It's wonderful for a while until you get tired of it, and then that's when I think you're open to the person that's going to change your life.
We're here in the Carnivore Corner with Ben Mulroney. Has having a family changed your life?
Having a family is the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. It's you're going to hold your kid, and you're going to realize what your purpose in life was.
Any quick parental advice for me in the first couple of months? Because back to what we said earlier, I'm pretty nervous.
All right, do you know if you're having a boy or a girl?
We don't.
Oh, you don't? Okay,
no, we're going to take.
So if it's a boy, wipe up. If it's a girl, wipe down.
Well said. I mean,
that's it. Nothing else
There's
to
such
say.
a serious look on his face. I love it. That is brilliant. Brilliant advice. Thank you. If it's a long day for you, how do you compartmentalize? How do you chill out after? You have family. There's a craziness. You're coaching soccer.
I have a nice drive home. I listen to the radio. Sometimes I don't listen to anything. I just quiet. It's nice and quiet. I really enjoy my job. I don't get stressed out at work. I have long days, and there's a ton of things to do. But I enjoy the people I work with. I enjoy what I do. It's like my work family, and then I go home to my family. And so it's not, for me, there's no roller coaster of emotions that requires decompression. That being said, a nice glass of wine when you get home on a Friday, that's pretty good.
Well, now you have some Carnivore. Yeah. Throwing it in there. It's a good little plug. Do you ever have visions of yourself with your lovely wife in retirement, and where would that be? All the people I know who are successful and love what they do don't ever fully retire. They transition into something else.
Look at Lloyd Robertson. The guy is 81, maybe 82. And he left 40 years at the behind the desk of the nightly news to go do W5. I mean, it's a different pace of job. There's a little bit less of a daily grind for him. But a guy like that, when you're 78 years old and you leave the nightly news, you have every right not to lift a finger ever again. But he's the type of guy who cannot not work. And so he's working at W5. Just talked to him about it yesterday. I think if you love what you do, and if you feel it's sort of one of the defining aspects of who you are, then you're never going to truly stop doing it.
Were you sad when David Letterman retired?
I was. My brother was on David Letterman.
No.
When we were kids, my mom had this rule where she would take all of us on individual trips to New York when we were kids. And so she took me to a Broadway play. My sister went to a Broadway play. My kid brother, who marches to, sort of does exactly what he wants, says, I don't want to go see a Broadway play. I want to go see David Letterman. And this is when he was still on NBC. And so, I think he was 8 years old. And because Paul Schaefer is Canadian, they got the VIP treatment and all this stuff. And Paul knows my mom. And anyway, they go to the show, except Mark is too young to sit in the audience. So they stick him up in the booth, the technical booth. And Dave turns this into a whole shtick, and he says, so I hear, Paul, that you have a guest in the audience,
And she says, he says, yes, I do. You do. The Neil Mulroney, the wife of the Prime Minister, is here, a dear friend, and it's lovely. So honored to have her here. And David Letterman says, I don't see her. Stand up, lady. You've won a ham. And then he flashed the words ham winner on the. And then he says, he goes, what, is she here alone? And then Paul goes, no, she was here with her son, but he was too small to sit with her, so we put him up in the booth. And he said, wait, let me see if I got this straight. He was too young to sit in the audience, so we put the little kid up with the multi-million-dollar technical equipment. And he said, roll the tape, Hal. And there's my brother in a bow tie and a double-breasted blazer just waving at the camera. And over the course of the show, he kept going back to Mark, and with every one, he was more entrenched in there. By the end, he's wearing the cans on his ears, and he's pulling the levers and pushing the
Ready,
buttons.
Dave, take Dave.
Exactly. But that was, so and it was his level of self-deprecating humor. He could tell the joke, and he could just as easily be the butt of the joke. And I think generous comics are a rare commodity. And I think the more generous a comic with, let's get the laugh any way we can, I love those types of guys.
Profoundly said, and his intelligence level is bar none. It's just a hugely intelligent guy. You're a very well-rounded guy. Do you like, is there things about Ben Mulroney too, or like you said you don't like to go in the kitchen so much, and more that's your wife's doing, but do you garden? Is there certain things?
Do I garden?
I don't know. I want to know.
I do not garden. No.
Do you clean your house? Are you a neat freak?
I have a loom at home, and I like to make wool, for my crochet. No, I don't have a lot of time for hobbies. I like to, when I get home, I like to have a nice dinner with my wife. Sometimes what we'll do is we'll put the kids to bed, and we have help at home, so we'll go out for honestly a 45-minute dinner. And then we just want to spend a little time together. And we come home and see the kids, and they're asleep, and we go to our room and watch TV.
A few more questions here in the Carnivore Corner, and I'll let you go and do the job that pays you, as opposed to the one where like, can I get out of here? A moment that you're most proud of on air.
A moment I'm most proud of on air. Well, I think honestly, it's the stuff I've done live. I think it's the
Oscars and things like this.
It's not. It requires a lot of preparation, and then once you've done it, once you've prepared for it, you have to make it look like there was no preparation. It's not seamless. It's not perfect. There are some mess ups and screw ups, and you say the wrong name, and it can sometimes be clunky. But when you get through something like that with all the work and the entire team that goes into building it, there's a sense of camaraderie and a sense of a group congratulations that you don't get from a lot of other aspects of the show.
It's a really good feeling, and then that adrenaline kicking in too when you're doing it. I would imagine. Then after, it's like it's kind of done, but we did it well.
Yes,
so it's a great feeling. And the most, I'm sure this is an obvious answer, but the proudest moments you've done off air.
Marrying my wife, having my kids, spending time with my family. It doesn't have a lot. Being a good friend, I know that sounds trite, but if you're lucky enough for those things to actually be honest answers, then I think you're a really lucky person. Like for me, I've got great friends. I've got a wonderful family. I'm building my own little family that I'm so proud of. And some people would roll their eyes at that. They're more than welcome to. If you lived my life, you'd understand what I was talking about.
You're a wicked dude, man. And real quick, I have to ask, most people don't like to talk about charities they're involved in, but are there some charities that you'd like to mention?
Yeah, I recently hooked up with the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation of Canada. It was a charity that was very near and dear to my mother's heart for years. She was the national chairman for 20 years whilst my dad was Prime Minister, and they approached me a few months ago asking me if I would help out, and it was an honor to get back in with this group. I mean, it's a disease for which there is no cure, and while there are treatments that are helping people live much, much longer than even 15, 20 years ago, and so many of the great advances in science to help cystic fibrosis, people living with cystic fibrosis have happened here in Canada. There's still such a long road to till, and I'm so privileged to be helping them sort of get the word out
and helping with all sorts of different charity initiatives. And thank you for letting me say that.
That's giving back, I think, is the most important thing human beings can do. So it's a blessing to be able to do it on a bigger scale when you have Twitter followers, Facebook followers, fans, and that sort of stuff. I guess our last question here in the Carnivore Corner. You recently did some toothpaste commercials. Is there ever a day that Ben Mulroney will wake up and not brush his teeth?
No, God, no.
Okay.
And that's another thing. The older you get, you realize I'm not taking good enough care of my teeth, and so I've got toothpaste and toothbrushes everywhere. I got them at the office. I brush my teeth midday. No, I'm a stickler for that stuff too. I'm a stickler for taking good care of my teeth.
Well, and they look fantastic.
Well,
so do you. And I know you tweeted out the other day, someone in the office saw this picture of you, I guess, with the white of the eyes, and you made it yourself. You're so self-deprecating, too. You're like, Jesus, Todd, could you not have found a picture from this decade?
I do appreciate that you did find another one. That was great. Thanks so much.
We got another picture, man. I cannot thank you enough. We have a mutual friend named Regan Watts. He'd kill me if I didn't mention his name.
Love
and I know,
Regan.
And I think it's his son's birthday today, and your daughter's birthday in about a week or something. But whenever I speak to Regan about you, knows you much better than I do. He just says, Ben is the most down-to-earth, salt-of-the-earth guy, and it's funny, we have a show here, and really I get to hang out kind of with my friends on the show because we all lead such busy lives.
That's true.
And I appreciate so much the amount of time you gave us today, how open you are. You don't do this a lot. Like, you're the one doing this for other guys.
I appreciate this. No, it's a lot of fun. I was really happy when you got your own show. I'm glad you still have your own show.
So are we.
But yeah, anytime, man. Anytime for sure.
Thank you very much. Ben Mulroney, at Ben Mulroney. Go and follow him everywhere. Twitter, Instagram, you name it. Of course, the anchor of Canada's #1 entertainment show, E-Talk, airing weeknights at 7 p.m. on CTV. You'll see him tonight there. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks,
we appreciate you being here in the Carnivore Corner, my man, and we'll talk to you soon.
That was another edition of Carnivore Corner. Big and bold in style.